2025, sitting here with the CMO of Nozomi Networks. I'm Ted Gutierrez, very excited to have you, sir. Please tell us a little bit about what we can expect here from S4 2025.
Great, my name is Mike Plant and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Nozomi. We're super thrilled to be at S4 yet again this year in a pretty major way. We've got a prime room set up down here on the main floor where we're going to be unpacking. We have 4 things we're trying to achieve in our prime room. Right. We're trying to surface stories that might be either too late breaking or too focused for any of the main stages in Dale's normal agenda. Second, we are trying to bring to the surface stories where we bring many components of a solution narrative. The customer, maybe a global system integrator and an OT OEM, or whatever the combination of players were to bring together a successful cyber outcome. And then finally, I'm kind of excited. We're not in Miami for the first time in a long time, and I think some folks are going to be missing that cabana vibe that we have in Miami. So on Wednesday,
still in Florida. We're still in Florida.
We're still in Florida. So on Wednesday afternoon, we're actually converting our prime room into a cabana experience. Everyone's welcome to come to our cabana party starting at 2 p.m.
Well, your cabana party, being in the center of that pool area for the last couple of years, you guys always throw the best parties. Great team, exciting stuff. So as we come to S4 24,
25.
Oh, that's right, S4 25. So Dale has always pushed the limits on what's the future, and he wants and has always kind of cultivated a culture of what is next, what are you doing to push forward the industry. I'll ask you point blank, what's Nozomi at this time really focused on to push the boundaries of OT and ICS security?
That's a fantastic question. I would say that we're really focused on a few key areas, probably 4. The first is we're a big champion of the Women in ICS program that's been associated with S4 for many years. We believe that bringing in additional voices and additional perspectives into the ICS community is vital. Second, we do believe that without fear-mongering, we have to shine a light on the evolving threat and regulatory landscape. So for example, tomorrow morning in our prime room, we have Tony Thomas. He's a former 4-star general for the U.S. Army and was the head of the U.S. Special Ops Command here in Tampa. And he's going to be talking about the evolution of nation-state attacks and how ICS asset owners can think about defenses in the light of these nation-state attacks. Again, not fear-mongering, but candid discussions about what it takes. I would say the next way that we're really pushing forward or helping to push forward readiness and ICS defenses is through our partnerships with the OT OEM community, the technology community, the global system integrators, the managed service providers, so that we can provide our customers with a turnkey solution for their successful cyber outcomes. And then I would say the 4th area that we're really focused on is championing. CISOs have figured out how to talk about the outcomes from their IT cybersecurity investments and how to have risk-based conversations with the board and risk-based justification for investment strategies for IT cybersecurity. We think that helping to advance the community and our ability to have those same conversations for ICS security is critical. And then lastly, we're trying to lead the way in core innovations. So we've got over a decade of history in innovating for ICS security. And just in the past year, we launched the first security solution that runs embedded inside of a PLC with Mitsubishi Electric. They'll actually be on stage 2 on Wednesday talking about that solution. We launched the first wireless air sensor for looking at wireless air attack surfaces in ICS environments. So innovation, community, bringing together more voices through the Women in ICS, and helping our CISOs get as mature in ICS security as they are in IT security in terms of a risk-based framework.
Those are big value points across the board. You mentioned something earlier, and I wanted to talk about. You mentioned who the different people are going to be in your prime room. So you talked about OEMs, you talked about maybe even MSSPs and consultants. Being a channel-first company, which we've always known has been kind of the strategy for your team, Where do you think the industry is pointing Nozomi when it comes to the service and service side of the business and the relationships there?
That's a great question. I think that our customers want companies like Nozomi to have some skin in the services game, in order to make sure that as it relates to our technology roadmap and our future innovations, that there's a direct conduit between successful customer implementation, successful customer outcomes, and what we do in the product and engineering teams going forward. But we don't want to build a 600-person services team. And so we believe that, and we're not, even though we're very global, we're not sufficiently global to do that at scale worldwide. That's why we partner with the likes of the global system integrators, the global carriers, large local MSSPs, SIs, and local resellers to provide the arms and legs to extend what we can do. We're actually working now to have an authorized service provider program where select partners who go through sufficient training and certification can work with us arm in arm in terms of deploying customer outcomes and customer implementations.
It's interesting. I think that the majority of, let's say, the tech companies, and you're one of the major incumbents, no question about that, based on your scale, how much value you've been able to add to the industry. You pulled a lot of things forward. But we're still challenged, if you would maybe agree, that the average asset owner doesn't have the skill set requisite to be able to deploy the solutions to their full capacity. Right?
Oh, for sure.
And so that whole connection to the service side, the actually who's going to go and implement, I think it's smart, and it sounds like you guys really have a leg up on a lot of different competition.
That's our goal. Our goal is, and frankly, we're not doing it to have a leg up on the competition. We're doing it because that's how we feel our customers will have successful outcomes, right? When we talk about delivering operational resilience, a risk mitigation framework based on our platform, and regulatory compliance in an ever increasingly complex regulatory environment, that requires services and skills that our team doesn't have and our customers' organizations don't have.
Or isn't focused on, right? I mean, I think there's a real big value when you have a product company focused on product outcomes, technology outcomes, and then you have service folks that are really there to deliver. Let's talk about competition for a second. A couple $1 billion deployed in the market, 2020, 2021. We have not seen in any way, shape, or form the type of outside investment that we did a couple years ago, which is, it seems like it would be cyclical, but it just hasn't had that wave. Do you think that the market, specific to OT and ICS, is going through some sort of bubble right now, or is it already passed, or is it ahead of us?
That's a great question. We only have a few minutes, so this could take up a whole hour by itself. And I'm not a professional venture capitalist or investor, but my take is that the capital markets in general, not just for ICS security, but in general, are going through a pretty long-term transformation. And the expectations for the performance indicators that will justify the next round and the next round of investment have changed.
They changed a little bit.
They've changed quite a bit. I don't know that we're in a bubble right now. I can speak specifically for Nozomi. We've been very focused on cost-effective growth and cost-effective scaling.
Sure.
And we had a fantastic 2024. We are continuing to make investments in the business, but we're, to the extent possible, being responsible about those investments. This is my 8th startup. I've done startups during those cycles where it was burn cash at all costs to get any growth. That's not the world we're operating in today, and that's absolutely not the world Nozomi is in, because I don't think that's actually responsible or good for our customers. Right. I think having a durable, healthily scaling business is actually the best service for our customers.
Well, and I think you're right about that. You're not chasing growth at any cost, but what it does do is it opens you up for different kind of markets. If I may, talk about a topic that I always hear on the street, and that is, Nozomi has grown. It's now one of the major market players globally. Where is it going to head from here, and what could you tell the market of peers that are out there, as well as potential asset owner clients, about how this shift to more of a profitability focus, a little bit more of a, maybe not conservative growth, but a more effective growth, has in the future for Nozomi?
That's a great question. Our strategy is to grow in an efficient manner so that we keep all of the options on the table.
It's a good smart move.
So that option could include at some point in the future an initial public offering, but that's just one capital or funding mechanism. The goal for us is maniacally service our customers, and to do that, keep every option on the table we need to continue to do that successfully.
Grow your company like you're never going to sell it, and there will be a lot of people trying to
That's
buy it.
right.
No, I totally agree with that. So what is the secret that Nozomi puts into the playbook every day to be that company for its customers?
Candidly, our initial DNA continues to be one of customer intimacy-driven innovation. Right. So, our two founders who are still with the company, our CTO and our CPO. Our CTO Moreno, he has a PhD in AI and has worked in industry before he started Nozomi. Andrea, our CPO, has a PhD in OT security from back when nobody could spell OT security. And he worked in industry. He worked at a large oil and gas company before co-founding Nozomi with Moreno. That DNA fuels over a decade of industry firsts. You talk a lot today about generative AI and AI this and AI that. We had AI in the very first Guardian network sensor we shipped 11 years ago. It's been, that's foundational to who we are. So I would say, and all that isn't driven by just innovation for innovation's sake. It's driven by customer intimacy. What are our customers seeing in their operational environments? What do they need? It was that customer intimacy that helped fuel the shift in our platform over the past year to be a lot more anchored in risk management, risk mitigation, quantification of risk. How do you have a conversation with the board about the risk environment in your OT or IoT environment? How does that compare to the peer group? That's all of those innovations have been driven by customer intimacy.
And so you're, in other words, saying that customers have pulled you to more of a, not just, for lack of better terms, but zeros and ones, looking at the actual network layers. You're actually looking a little bit more at the strategic value of the solution.
Both, right? I think, when you look at something like a solution that delivers cybersecurity inside of the PLC, that's at the ones and zeros level, not the strategic level. But it was an understanding that insider attacks at the PLC level, either benign or negligent, as well as being able to detect early stage attacks through process anomaly detection inside the PLC. That was actually driven by an understanding of the bad guys and the attack environment and the attack surface. Layering on the ability to do risk-based management, that was driven through customer intimacy with the CISO community specifically.
Well, I think the majority of the focus has always been, for obviously good reason, you got to make sure you know what you have out there. You got to know what the vulnerabilities are to that. What I've found in the market, and this is just a lot of years of talking to folks at S4, is that we still haven't tackled the people in the process side of the house. And it seems like there might be some innovations on your team's part to kind of address what still is virtually 70% of the various controls are out there are still people and process based. Is that an area of focus for you all, or is that something you say, no, we're gonna stay laser focused on enabling a strategic or governance discussion based on the tech? Where do you think that people and process fit?
So it's a great question. We have been early proponents and champions of the people side of the equation. And so whether it was usability, whether it was how do we expose new AI technologies to make the life of the SOC analyst better, who may or may not be fluent in OT and ICS security concepts and issues. But also recognizing that today's ICS security approach is still notify, right? Our general industry approach to remediation is we're going to tell somebody there's an anomaly. We're going to tell someone there's a vulnerability. We're going to tell someone there appears to be a threat. I think you could see a situation in the future where strategically, selectively, and in the control of the customer, not the software, we might start taking steps to be a little bit more proactive.
A little bit more ahead of the curve.
A little bit, and actually do some of the stuff instead of having the humans do it.
I think that there's undoubtable desire to automate more and to utilize what appears to be and continues to be just amazing capabilities we have with our tech. But I still am a believer that our biggest challenge is not the efficiency or the capability of our tech, but more so the resources of the asset owner themselves. How do you think about marketing these types of solutions? I mean, the top person in the company having a look at the market, where do you think, not so much from an investment or company growth perspective, we're just talking about the asset owners out there with the hard hats on. What do you think is happening in the market today as it relates to asset owners really solving these cybersecurity challenges?
Well, it's interesting. I think we've definitely seen a pronounced transformation or evolution in the who part of that equation.
100%.
When Nozomi started 11 plus years ago,
Right.
it was the people in the hard hats on the factory floor, in the oil refinery, in the power generation plant, that were acquiring this technology primarily for asset identification, asset discovery. It moved more into a security mission, and it's become so strategic that in most of the accounts we're engaged at, it is a CISO level mission, a CISO level mandate, Chief Information Security Officer. And in that context, from my perspective, from a marketing perspective, it's how do we help that Chief Information Security Officer understand and articulate the criticality, the value that ICS security solutions provide, as well as these 30-year-old IT security companies have done it for IT. So I think that's the marketing challenge. And so we talk a lot about the types of outcomes that we drive. You can't have a conversation, you can't equip the CISO to go have a conversation with the board with, we speak this obscure protocol or we speak that obscure protocol. It has to be about, security, governance, risk management, operational resilience. Those are the things that are the language of the executive staff and the board.
It's all about business outcomes.
It is all about.
I think that the collective peer-to-peer challenge that we have is taking overworked folks on the shop floor and in front of computer systems and helping them speak a language that can connect these zeros and ones or the training that they have to do with personnel or the policies that they write, and they have to map it to business outcomes. And I think that's the difference in OT and IT in my perspective. Maybe you'll agree. I don't think IT folks have really had to do that. It's a cost center. They know that they have to X amount of budget to work with. But when you start taking a look at the P&L of the actual facilities globally in all of the different critical sectors, you have to connect the security to a business outcome. And I think in sort of depleted or depressed markets, that's been our challenge for the last couple of years. And I'm super excited to see how we come together more as a community and combat that. Because I think you're right on. If we don't reach that boardroom, reach that CISO, and help him or her really understand the why behind the investment, then we're all just going to be fighting the same battles.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And this is about not just revenue, but health and safety, environmental,
100%.
all of the unique outcomes and risk factors that are unique to ICS.
Well, they're very dynamic. They're totally dynamic, and I think that's why a lot of IT companies have tried to get into the OT or ICS space, but they just haven't been able to do that. Well, it's S425, Mike. Have a wonderful time. Once again, help people. Where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you? And more importantly, what can they do to help make this a great S425?
Thanks. Thank you for the time, and the
My
interview was
pleasure.
great. It was fun. The Nozomi S4 Prime Room is on the 4th floor here at S4, on the same floor as the main stage. We have a chock-full agenda of activities that are happening in our Prime Room. A bunch of speakers, the Cabana Party, some technical sessions on Thursday. You can also learn more at nozominetworks.com.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful S425.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Thanks.